Biden says it's an incredible transition to his vision for a green future. That's literally what he said. He goes, here's the situation. I'm reading the transcript from his remarks yesterday. And when it comes to gas prices, we're going through an incredible transition that is taking place that, God willing, when it's over, we'll be stronger and the world will be stronger and less reliant on fossil fuels when this is over. He goes, you see what Europe is doing relative to the importation of Russian gas. He goes, you see what, well, I won't go through all of it. That was actually the script. Well, yeah, because the United States allowed Europe to be more dependent upon Russian gas. And Joe Biden himself, I can't believe he's lamenting this when he facilitated the expedition of it. He expedited the whole thing. He went ahead and there was a remaining percentage of Nord Stream 2 that needed to be completed. And when Trump was in office, he blocked completion of it. The first thing that John Kerry did when he got into, or not John Kerry, God help us all. The first thing that Joe Biden did when he got into office was immediately greenlight that. He immediately greenlit the whole thing, and they were able to get it. They were able to get it completed. So the issue is that he's lamenting this whole thing about importation of Russian gas, but he helped Europe become more dependent upon it. And he also helped Europe become more dependent upon it because he wanted to remove the fastest way to get gas from Canada out into the rest of the market, and that was through the Keystone Pipeline. We have another pipeline that's functioning, but can you imagine if we had another one? Because that does more than what a lot of these countries that produces more in a day than what a lot of these countries use in like a week from Russia. So that makes it makes sense that you would want, if you're talking about having a more secure world, especially in context of NATO associations, you would want these other countries to be less reliant on Russia and on geopolitical foes and use your cleaner LNG, right? As opposed to their dirty gas. But it's weird because he said the same thing that Kerry said, as the point I was making to start with. Because Kerry said, oh, it's a great transition. Biden says it's an incredible transition. They're both talking about reliance upon fossil fuels. They're giving the same speech. That's literally what Kerry just said. Kerry said, we need a great transformation. We're moving to a green new energy economy. This is exactly what Biden's saying here. It's an incredible transition that is taking place. So they got the talking points out. We're going through a transition. That's the thing. I think it's a forced transition to get everybody away from more plentiful and replenishing fossil fuels. I'm not opposed to EV. And again, I reject the specious argument that, and a very intellectually shallow argument, that to oppose government intervention in markets and oppose artificial stimulation of green consumption while suppressing fossil fuels, I oppose all of those interventions by the government. It's not an organic market drive. It's not a consumer driven anything. They want to push everybody onto a technology that's still growing, still progressing, and is not as reliant as fossil fuels. I don't mind energy diversification, but the two are not the same arguments. To oppose the way the government's handling it is not opposition of EV itself or green energy. It is such a stupid thought. And I get there's a couple of conservatives. They're kind of moderate. They're not conservative, moderate Republicans that do this green stuff. And I'm just like, that's your focus? And they criticize other Republicans if Republicans, certifiably, if they are justified in criticizing the moves that this administration makes. No, Biden says he was getting into the oil release from the SPR, Strategic Petroleum Reserves. Now apparently we're going to be diving into what we have saved for diesel. And it was just wild to hear his remarks. It sounds like a John Kerry speech, and it also sounds like he's lamenting what his own policies are doing, because he is. Really weird. We live in such weird times.